Dear viewers, we are here to discuss a lot of things about a very interesting world. Actually, we are going to enter into a different domain, different world, and that is very interesting world. That is the world of Indian theatre or the world of Indian drama art. So, we will discuss a lot of things about this heritage, this asset. We have a lot of dramatic nuances, the styles, the period, the synonyms, the metaphors, the mythologies, and a lot of things. So, if we start to think, if we start to enter into this horizon, we must start with its origin. So, can we start with the pre-Vedic period or Vedic period? Because when we start with a period, we have a chronological history where we can commence or we can enter into the path where the great stalwarts have gone through this path, and they showed us the basic nuances of heritage called Indian drama art. So, if we start from the beginning, we have to trace where is the departure point. Say, if we start from the Indus Valley civilization, we have no evidence of drama art, but we can trace its root there. If we can start from the pre-Vedic period, we can trace somewhat some folk traces of dance or drama art. And if we start from direct from Vedic period, we can trace so many things that reflects in our modern day theatre in Indian drama art. So, in this program we will discuss so many things, right from ancient drama art or ancient Indian art. Then we will enter or we will proceed towards the post Vedic period, including the basic treatise, the basic compendium of drama arts called Natya Shastra, and then we will proceed with the great stalwarts or the playwrights like Kalidas, Bhash, Ashok Ghosh and others, and after that we will be there in the medieval period of the drama art, that is from 9th century AD to 15th century AD. So, we will start from the Vedic period because we have some evidences of drama art where we can trace the roots of Indian cultural heritage or the Indian asset, Indian aesthetics, Indian arts. So, we can name it by theatre in Vedic period or ancient Indian folk theatre. The history of drama art is the history of mankind. We can say the drama art is as old as human civilization. The story of this art, that is theatre or drama art, begins with the origin of language. So, if we consider or if we understand the beginning of language, we can understand the origin of Indian theatre or Indian aesthetics. Etymologically, the term theatre is derived from its Greek root theamai, meaning to see, and also from its another Greek root theoria, meaning to be spectacle of. These are the basic roots of the English term theatre, where it is derived. So, similarly the term drama is derived from its Greek root, again dan, meaning to do, to act, to perform, and interestingly at the same breath the Sanskrit term karan for drama is derived from its Sanskrit origin kriya. This is a dhatu root in Sanskrit, and it also means the same, to do, to act, to perform. That means the origin of both the term drama or theatre or natya same, that is to do, to act or to perform, means drama originated from dan means the same, the karan originated from the dhatu kriya. So, Natya is the Sanskrit term of the English word theatre in India. Therefore, we see the history of civilization in language begins with same meanings of drama art in Greek and in India with their different terms and connotations. Here we begin with ancient Indian theatre. We find its traces from early Vedic period. We have to consider several art historians who categorized our Vedic period. The Indus Valley civilization, it is the period date back from 3000 BC, and they consider this is a pre-Vedic period, our Indus Valley civilization as it is. And after that, the Indus civilization, we can focus the Vedic period from 12th century BC to 6th century BC and onwards. Then another art historians like Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Rakhal Das Bandyopadhyay, Kapila Vasyayan and Romila Thavar, they all consider that the Vedic period is from 12th century BC to 1st century AD. So, we will discuss the theatre of this period, the Vedic period. After that, from 1st century AD to 7th century AD, this is called post Vedic period, and then from the 8th or 9th century to 12th century AD, this is called medieval period. So, here we are in the very domain of Vedic period. In this period, we do not find any systematic treatise on Indian drama art or Indian art, but some traces from ancient Indian folk theatre and the Veda itself. So, first we go into ancient Indian folk theatre. Prehistoric cave paintings of hunting dance and war dance are evidences of their existence. Cave paintings, there are so many cave paintings we received by the art historian and artist Asit Kumar Haldars from several caves like Kalibanga, from Jogimara. So, we have so many cave paintings where we have so many portraits which depicts the activities of theatre arts, especially focused on dance. So, cave paintings are our rich asset to define or to establish the roots of Indian folk arts. So, we can go through this. War dances, that means before the Stone Age or in the Stone Age, there are some evidences of war dances after the celebration of the victory. So, in the primary stage of civilization, there was no such distinction as folk and elite in the field of various arts. That is very interesting, very significant, because now we consider as the refined art or the classical art and the folk art or tribal art. This distinction came with the beginning of class divisions. Before that, there were no class divisions and there was no such distinction between folk art or tribal art and refined or classical art. So, no written record of ancient Indian folk theatre has come down to us. Early Sanskrit plays and the first compendium of drama art help a lot to understand. That will go later. We are to bear in mind that both refined and folk form of theatre actually did continue side by side in the same period, as we find even nowadays. We have both kind of arts, the folk theatre and the classical theatre. Primarily, the term Natya denotes the representation of any emotion or incident through gestures and postures, that is, dance with the accompaniment of music, both vocal and instrumental. In music or in the origin of music, we find so many things begin from the instrumental music, not as vocal music. we will go further in our Vedic studies, we will see that the instruments are very much active in the Vedic hymns. They accompany the Vedic hymns and Vedic mantras and the sacred syllables. So, but before that, just understand how our folk art or the tribal art enriched our Indian drama or ancient Indian drama art form. So, linguistically, the words nritta, nritya, natya, nat and natak are correlated. We have 5 technical terms: nritta and nritya. That means, if we have only the basic grammar of dance, pure dance without any emotion or without any acting, that is called nritta. And then comes nritya, that means the grammar, the pure dance plus emotion or the emotional representation, that is called nritya. And then natya, that means dance plus acting. And then the natak, where it is the compendium or the composite art form where all arts are there. That is why Indian drama is called, this is an all inclusive art form, where all disciplines of art lie there. So, we will later discuss another terms related to this as Tandav and Lasya. When we will discuss about Natya Shastra, then we will refer to these words Tandav and Lasya. In India, we get evidences of dance from prehistoric times, what is known as Indus Valley civilization. We can go through so many sites like Harappan sites, where we found so many figures and figurines of bronze and metals, other metals. We have not yet casted the actual meaning or the intended meaning of the figurines as well as the from the inscriptions, but we can see there the forms and the gestures from the figurines. We can derive so many things. The metal standing figurine from Harappa, it is naked but decorated with many ornaments. So, this ornament shows so many things, these gestures shows so many things, and this particular figurine advises us how to go, how to enter into this domain, how to read the actual text, the intended meaning. So, it may be presumed that originally, now we are entering into the another domain, that means from the folk arts to Veda itself, as we discussed earlier. It may be presumed that originally Samveda hymns were originally folk plays, were composed in the models of folk plays prevalent in the then society. Actually, we find so many things. We know there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda. We will discuss later how this Panchama Veda, Natya Shastra as it is called, has taken from the 4 different qualities from the 4 Vedas. But now we are discussing the folk art form which also influenced the Vedic hymns, like we will go how Rig Veda talks about the dialogue. Now, Samveda is concerned with the music. The Sam hymns, actually Sam terms is derived from a technical term Saman. Saman means music, and we find 4 classes of reciting these Sam or Saman hymns. They are called Gram Geyan, Geyan, Archik, Gathic and Samik, the old traditions. So, if there is one another class of Sam hymns which is known as Aranya Geyan. Aranya means jungle, forest, where the all seers used to recite or chant these Sam hymns. that is not classical, that is directly related to the folk art form. That is why I am saying the folk plays originally Samveda hymns were originally folk plays were composed in the models of folk plays prevalent in the then society. That means, the pattern of folk plays and the patterns of reciting the psalm hymns are same. We can listen to this kind of songs in veena, in instrument, or in the recitation of Vedic hymns. Now, another evidence from Sanchi and Bharahut stoops, the monumental beings, we have got many stone figures of men and women which are all in dance poses. As we said earlier, drama is derived or advanced from its basic art form, that is nritya or nritya. First nritya, then natya, and those who used to do this kind of things, they are called nata. So, we are talking about the dance forms. Originally it was dance and then it is cultivated as drama. So, at that period there was no such division or distinction between dance and drama. Those who were dancers considered and called as actors. Later we will discuss what is called Shailush as nata. So, the first compendium or treatise on drama arts shows that in those days common people assembled to see the performance of folk plays, themes of which in general were the victory of the Aryans. Now, another domain is here, the Aryan and the non-Aryan. There are so many attitudes of art historians regarding this Aryans, Dravid or non-Aryans. We can settle down our mind with this one single theory propounded by Ramesh Chandra Majumdar in his text Indian History of India, History of India, Ancient India, where he said that the Dravidians and the Aryans both came together in India, not as another art historians, they say that the Dravidians are the inhabitants of India and Aryans came from outside. So, the Dravidian art was the folk art and the refined art was of Aryans. Aryans refined the folk art form of Dravidians. This is another attitude. This is propounded by Chiti Mohan Sen, but we can see the Aryan art is as earlier, as old as our Indian folk art. So, we consider the Aryan art is our Indian old heritage art form. So, we find that themes of the folk plays in general were the victory of the Aryans. They used to celebrate the victory of the Aryans. Here we can link our folk and tribal drama art with the early Aryan art in India. That is another attributes towards this program, our discussion. Now, Rigved itself provides us the source of drama art in India in a refined way. We find the first dialogue in drama art from the hymns of Rigved, where King Pururava utters the first dialogue addressed to Urvashi. This dialogue proves the characteristics of Indian plays as tragedy and not as a comedy. We already referred to our Indian drama as comedy and Greek drama as tragedy. This is our usual discourse. Greek theatre is tragedy, Indian theatre is comedy. No, this is not the fact. The Indian drama starts with our linguistic tradition, Vachik Parampara, and this is, we can find its root in Rigveda hymns, and where the first dialogue is spoken, is uttered by its character. There are so many Samvad Sutra or Samvad Sukta, where we find the stories or mythological evidences based on dialogue. So, the first dialogue of ancient Indian drama we find in the 14th Sukta or 14th hymns of Rig Veda, where there is a story that is very interesting story when Urvashi came from heaven on this earth, and she had been compelled by the deities to go on the earth and live the all miseries with the mankind. Then King Pururava found her and approached her to be his Maharani, queen. She accepted with a condition that as soon as she sees her husband completely naked, she will move towards heaven again. And finally, one day when all the deities from heaven, they needed again the presence of Urvashi, they played a game and they created such kind of thing that by that, so that she just attended her husband without any clothes and she went there in heaven. But after this event, after this incident, the dialogue starts. That means, the entire story ended and the actual play, the actual drama started from this dialogue. That is the departure point, that from here we can learn how to start a drama, how to start a play in our Indian traditional way. And then Pururava, with very sorrow, with very grief feeling, uttered his first dialogue to Urvashi, "Hey Urvashi, where are you? I cannot live without you." This is the first dialogue found in the hymns of Rig Veda. On this ground, on this very basis, Kalidas in 5th century AD developed his whole idea of his very oft quoted play Vikramorvashiyam. The very story, the very basis of the play had its root in these hymns. So, we can see how the text of Indian drama developed from its root from its Vedic roots, its folk plays, folk roots. We have two sources, that is from Vedic period and not from pre-Vedic period. So, how a dialogue emerges from the text, and that the Rig Veda and the other Vedas helped us. So, after these earlier traces of drama art from ancient folk drama, the Vedic period, and from the Vedas itself, we find a concrete basis to discuss at length the very nature of Indian drama, its beginning, its growth and its creative evolution. This is the very basis, the first profound written material, the departure point, and that is the compendium of drama art known as Natya Shastra, created originally by a sage named Sage Bharat. So, after this entire discuss in this first episode, we can conclude the entire essence in terms of the folk and tribal art, the Vedic hymns and the original traces, the roots of ancient Indian theatre. So, we can go through, or we can conclude this discussion in this way, that our ancient Indian theatre has its deep roots in folk tribal art, dances, and the Vedas itself came from our Vedic period, that is from 12th century BC to 6th century BC.